At 02:23 hours on a September morning, 3 Ukrainian FP-1 naval drones penetrated Russian-monitored waters at 180 kilometers per hour, racing toward a target that had been systematically dismantling Ukraine's maritime drone operations for 6 consecutive weeks. What happened in the next 5 hours would demonstrate why wooden drones flying 3 meters above the waves have become the most cost-effective anti-ship weapons in modern naval warfare. The Russians were about to learn a painful lesson about underestimating plywood and precision timing. 15 miles off Novorossiysk, a Russian intelligence collection ship maintained station, its distinctive mast crowned with 3 ARFA 381 Tango electronic surveillance arrays. These systems could intercept radio communications from Romania, track Ukrainian drone launches in real time, and map the entire electromagnetic signature of Ukraine's naval drone program. For 6 straight weeks, operators had been logging launch patterns, recording flight paths, and building predictive models that would soon allow them to anticipate Ukrainian strikes before they happened. The ship represented Russia's most advanced signals intelligence platform in the theater. 2 Project 03160 patrol boats circled at 5-kilometer radius, creating protective screens that had become standard doctrine since losing the guided missile cruiser Moskva to Ukrainian Neptune anti-ship missiles. Ukrainian intelligence had identified this exact threat. The spy ship had to be neutralized now, before pattern analysis became complete. The solution would require deception, precision timing, and willingness to sacrifice valuable assets to create one brief window of opportunity. The 3 FP-1 drones were technological marvels disguised as primitive watercraft. Constructed primarily from marine-grade plywood, these unmanned aerial vehicles exploited a fundamental weakness in modern air defense systems. Radar designed to detect aluminum aircraft performs poorly against wooden targets. Wood absorbs most radar energy and scatters the rest unpredictably, creating radar signatures smaller than large seabirds. Each drone carried a 25-kilogram high-explosive warhead. The payload reflected Ukrainian tactical philosophy. These weren't ship killers, they were mission killers. The goal was destroying electronic surveillance capability, which required precision, not raw destructive power. Guidance systems were deliberately simple: commercial-grade GPS receivers, basic inertial navigation, and primitive optical cameras, identifying large structures at 5-kilometer range. This simplicity was tactical. Complex electronics create electromagnetic signatures. Simple systems running minimal power are nearly undetectable until impact. At 02:45 hours, a Russian 4-post reconnaissance unmanned aerial vehicle appeared on patrol 30 kilometers off the Ukrainian coast. The 4-post Canadian-made MX-15DI electro-optical camera could identify basketball-sized objects at 5 kilometers distance, with thermal imaging detecting temperature differences of just 2 degrees Celsius. The lead FP-1's engine heat signature spiked on the 4-post thermal display. 3 small contacts, low altitude, heading east at 180 kilometers per hour. Russian operators zoomed in, attempting classification. Ukrainian response was immediate. Pre-programmed evasion activated automatically. All 3 drones dropped from 3 meters to 2 meters above water, disappearing into ground clutter. Within minutes, wooden airframes cooled to match surrounding sea temperature. To the 4-post thermal camera, they had vanished. The operator logged them as possible birds and continued patrol. He had just allowed through the vanguard of an attack that would cripple Russia's most valuable Black Sea intelligence asset. Behind the departing drones, Russian Shahed series loitering munitions struck the Ukrainian launch site. 50-kilogram warheads turned launch equipment into scrap metal. The operators escaped, but the site was finished. This made the current mission existential. If the intelligence ship continued operating, Ukraine would lose maritime drone capability entirely. At 03:30 hours, as 3 FP-1 drones crossed the central Black Sea, 20 Ukrainian naval drones launched towards Sevastopol at 80 kilometers per hour. Russia's entire Black Sea Fleet helicopter force was about to be drawn completely out of position. The decoy swarm was masterful sacrifice. Modified jet skis and cheap commercial boats fitted with basic autopilot, each costing under $10,000. These throwaway assets were designed to look exactly like Magura V5 naval drones on radar. They maintained formation, transmitted on monitored frequencies, and moved at attack speed. Some carried heating elements mimicking infrared signatures. To Russian radar operators, this looked like the largest coordinated naval drone assault since October 2022 attacks on Sevastopol harbor. The deception had to be perfect. Decoys followed realistic attack patterns, spreading into assault formations, converging on high-value targets, performing evasive maneuvers suggesting active human control. Ukrainian operators commanded them via satellite link for 50 kilometers, then switched to autopilot. Russian response was textbook doctrine. Admiral commanding Black Sea Fleet forces had 6 Kamov Ka-27PL anti-submarine warfare helicopters at Novorossiysk, 4 more at Sevastopol. These represented primary defense against naval drone attacks. Ships are too slow to intercept. Fighter jets cannot hover effectively, but helicopters can cover 100 kilometers in 20 minutes and drop RGB-86 depth charges, neutralizing everything within 50-meter radius. All 6 Novorossiysk helicopters launched west at 270 kilometers per hour. Every minute they flew west was another minute real drones flew east, unopposed. By the time they realized the deception, helicopters would be 360 kilometers out of position with half their fuel expended. The intelligence ship now had no air cover, no quick reaction force, no ability to vector helicopters to investigate contacts. The 3 FP-1 drones adjusted course 15 degrees north at 0350 hours, exploiting a vulnerability Ukrainian intelligence had identified through months of observation. Russians operated 2 Podlet K-1 mobile early warning radars covering this sector, each rotated at exactly 10 revolutions per minute, creating full 360-degree sweeps every 6 seconds. For 4 seconds every minute, both radars pointed away from the same dark corner. A 2-kilometer-wide corridor drones had to transit with split-second timing. But Russians had adapted, implementing randomized rotation patterns to eliminate predictable blind spots. The first drone entered at 0447 hours, 4 seconds invisible, 2 seconds visible as one radar swept past, then invisible again. The radar operator saw something small, moving fast. He marked it for investigation, but maintained focus on 20 confirmed targets approaching Sevastopol versus 1 questionable blip. The second drone followed 30 seconds behind, still on course, still invisible with full fuel tanks. But the third had developed critical problem. A microscopic manufacturing flaw in its autopilot gyroscope caused gradual drift right 200 meters off course and growing. At 0448 hours, Russian operators received orders. Implement fully randomized rotation patterns immediately. The corridor was collapsing. The third drone corrected hard north, burning precious fuel. It entered the collapsing corridor at 0449 hours as both Podlet radars completed randomization. Both beams painted it clearly. The operator marked it probable bird and returned tracking the major attack. The third drone had made it through, but that emergency maneuver burned 12 minutes of fuel reserves. It would reach target area with less than 60 seconds remaining. At 0600 hours, the lead FP-1 was 240 kilometers from target when GPS position began drifting east. The Russians had activated their R-330JTO electronic warfare system from Crimea. This was sophisticated spoofing, broadcasting fake GPS signals at 100 watts power versus authentic satellite signals at 0.000001 watts. The fake signal was literally 1 million times stronger. But Ukrainian operators had learned from previous losses. Every 50 kilometers across the Black Sea, fixed oil platforms provided navigation references. The FP-1's primitive optical camera could spot these structures from 5 kilometers away, resetting position based on pre-loaded coordinates. No amount of GPS spoofing can defeat visual navigation. The second drone never made it to the next platform. At 0615 hours, its GPS receiver failed completely from a defective Chinese-manufactured capacitor that couldn't handle temperature cycling. Without GPS, the drone switched to pure inertial navigation, accumulating 10 meters error per minute. After 30 minutes, it was 800 meters off course. At 0645 hours, it impacted the water. No explosion, just gone. 2 drones remained. Mission success rate dropped to 66% at 0700 hours. The Russian intelligence ship went active with its Mineral ME search radar. The ship's signals intelligence team was systematically scanning frequencies, looking for distinctive harmonics produced by commercial GPS receivers and simple autopilot systems. At 0723 hours, they found one, bearing 285 degrees, speed 180 kilometers per hour, range 15 kilometers and closing. The Mineral ME radar locked onto the contact, but wood produces mushy, inconsistent radar returns that cause tracking systems to lose lock repeatedly. The operator reported intermittent contact, possibly large birds. The third FP-1, detecting radar emissions ahead, made a calculated decision. Its basic programming included final approach protocol, shut down all electronic systems except mechanical gyroscope. Flying blind on compass heading alone reduced electromagnetic signature to nearly zero. But this defensive measure created offensive vulnerability. The ship's R984M electronic warfare system, operating across frequencies from 20 to 1000 MHz, created electromagnetic noise overlapping with the ship's own communication and radar systems. Russian doctrine called this electromagnetic fratricide, your own systems interfering with each other. At 0725 hours, the intelligence ship vectored a patrol boat to investigate. The boat accelerated to 35 knots. On the forward deck, a gunner manned the PKM machine gun, loading a fresh 200-round belt. They had drilled this scenario hundreds of times, but had been briefed for aluminum drones with infrared signatures. Nobody mentioned plywood ghosts flying 2 meters above waves. The lead drone had 3 minutes of fuel remaining. Behind it, the third drone flew on, invisible but blind, navigating by compass through thickening morning fog. Visibility had degraded to 500 meters. At 0730 hours, the lead FP-1 reached target area 15 miles off Novorossiysk. The Russian intelligence ship sat exactly where Ukrainian intelligence predicted, still vectoring patrol boats toward incoming threats. Russians had created a defensive radar fence. 2 patrol boats with overlapping positive ME-1 radar coverage. Each radar could detect targets with 0.1 square meter radar cross-section at 15 kilometers range. Classic Soviet doctrine. Mathematically sound, thoroughly tested. But the Black Sea had other plans. A temperature inversion was forming, warm air over cold water. This atmospheric condition bends radar beams upward like light through a prism. This morning's inversion was severe, a 10°C temperature differential in just 50 meters altitude. Radar beams were bending upward at 15-degree angle. What looked like 50 meters altitude on displays was actually 80 meters in reality. Anything flying below 30 meters altitude was completely invisible. The FP-1 at 3 meters altitude might as well have been a submarine. The lead drone approached at 0732 hours. Russian radars were scanning 50-meter altitude, but their beams were actually looking at 80 meters. The drone slipped underneath, undetected. The patrol boat spotted it visually at 500 meters, 400 meters. Muzzle flash. The distinctive chatter of the PKM machine gun echoed across water. Tracers walked across the surface. 3 rounds hit the drone, punching clean holes through plywood. 1 round clipped the propeller blade, throwing the engine into violent vibration. But the engine kept running, damaged but functional. The drone cleared the patrol boat's effective range. 90 seconds of fuel remaining. At 0733 hours, the intelligence ship's distinctive mast became visible through morning haze, 800 meters away. But the damaged propeller had cracked the engine mount. The patrol boat radioed frantically. Drone inbound. Bearing 285, damaged but still flying. The bridge crew grabbed binoculars, scanning south where the patrol boat indicated. Every eye on the ship focused on that sector, tracking the dying drone as it struggled toward them. They should have looked northwest. The third FP-1 had been flying on mechanical gyroscope alone for 30 minutes. All electronic systems shut down. It emerged from morning fog at 0734 hours, approaching from the port bow at 180 kilometers per hour, 10 meters above water. Invisible to radar, undetected by thermal sensors. The lead drone's engine finally seized at 0734 hours, beginning its final glide. The lead drone had accomplished its mission perfectly. Every Russian eye was tracking its death plunge into the Black Sea. While the real threat approached unseen, the intelligence ship's navigation radar couldn't depress below -5 degrees. Designers never imagined something would attack from below this angle. Patrol boats were out of position. Bridge crew was scanning the wrong sector entirely. A Russian seaman spotted the third drone at 300 meters range. Too late. The drone's camera centered on the bridge roof where the main mast housed all 3 special intelligence collection antennas. The 25-kilogram high-explosive warhead smashed into the mast base at 180 kilometers per hour. The explosion gutted the bridge instantly. The ARFA 381 Tango electronic surveillance arrays that could intercept communications from Romania melted into slag. The computers containing 6 weeks of meticulously logged patterns and analysis became twisted metal and shattered circuit boards. The mineral ME radar transformed into wreckage. Secondary explosions cascaded through power supply systems. Damage control teams fought for 18 hours before containing the blaze. When fires finally died, the ship's electronic warfare suite looked like a Salvador Dali painting. Twisted metal frozen in impossible shapes. The intelligence ship would eventually sail again. Structural damage was repairable. Hull remained intact. Propulsion systems were functional, but its electronic eyes and ears were permanently blind. The ARFA 381 Tango arrays were beyond repair. The computers containing 6 weeks of intelligence gathering, dozens of recorded Ukrainian drone launches, the pattern analysis that would have ended Ukraine's naval drone campaign, all gone. Within hours of the strike, Ukrainian naval drones were launching from new locations, with new flight paths, invisible once again to Russian intelligence. Russians could still strike launch sites, but now they were hitting empty fields hours after drones had departed. The cost-benefit analysis was devastating for Russia. One intelligence collection ship, the most sophisticated signals intelligence platform in the Black Sea Fleet, had been effectively destroyed by 3 drones, constructed primarily from plywood, costing perhaps $100,000 total. Ukrainian planners had orchestrated individual Russian decisions into a symphony of deception. The decoy attack drew helicopters out of position. The timing exploited radar coverage gaps. The approach angles maximized weather effects. The lead drone served as perfect distraction for the killing blow. This is modern drone warfare. Cheap, disposable platforms defeating expensive, sophisticated systems through deception, timing, and willingness to accept losses. The strike validated Ukraine's maritime drone doctrine. These aren't precision weapons in the traditional sense. They're harassment weapons, designed to force Russia to defend everywhere simultaneously, to make operational security impossible, to gradually degrade Russian naval capabilities through cumulative small victories rather than decisive battle. The mathematics favor the attacker. Ukraine can build dozens of drones for the cost of repairing one ship. The Black Sea Fleet cannot defend everywhere simultaneously. Eventually, something gets through. At 07:34 hours on that September morning, 3 plywood drones accomplished what no conventional weapon system could achieve. They penetrated layered air defenses, defeated sophisticated electronic warfare systems, and destroyed Russia's most valuable intelligence collection platform in the Black Sea theater. In modern naval warfare, expensive doesn't mean invulnerable. Sophisticated doesn't mean effective. And sometimes the most advanced electronic warfare systems can be defeated by wooden drones flying low enough to touch the waves.